Right, back again people. The second test ride of today on this amazing machine, the BMW S1000R Super Naked, here at Rybrook, Wolverhampton. Thank you guys for allowing me the test ride on this. And here we are, just look at that thing, man. Amazing. Amazing. And this is the non-sports version, but it's got the sports pack on it, which is a bit of a strange thing, because this particular model comes with the chap was saying quick shift, and it's got the dynamic modes, sport modes. Let's fire this thing up. Bismillah. Right, let's go. So yeah, this actually feels quite nice. Getting on it first impressions. It feels a bit more comfortable than the R9T, and I've just come off the R9T. And I spent about an hour on that bike. Had probably about 20-minute leg stretch, and then straight on to the S1000R. Riding position isn't hugely different from the R9T, but it does feel like you're on a completely different bike just as soon as you get on it. You know, even though the riding position's similar, you know, as you move away, the weight of this bike, there's nothing there. The gear change, I've just switched it now from second to third, is crazy smooth. I'm in road mode at the moment, but the gear change is crazy smooth. Feels like there's zero weight to it. You're not perched on top of the tank. The handlebars are, you know, a reasonable distance away from your arms. You know, your arms aren't stretched out and they're not cramped down. Your chest isn't over the tank. It seems like a fairly comfortable riding position. Standstill position, both feet on the floor. Yep, 5'8", so both feet are on the floor. Mirrors, okay, not too different from the R9T, to be honest with you. But it feels nice. And you know, I got off the R9T and I thought, alright, this is it, this is what I want. The whole kind of classic retro image, and I thought, you know what, it feels nice, you can have a lot of fun with it, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. But getting off that onto this, you miss some of the characteristics of that bike. So if I kind of look at this video as a comparison between the R9T and this, and then a comparison between this and the MT10 and Super Duke, and then also kind of my impressions of getting on this S1000R for the very first time now. There's lots of people out there that'll be able to tell you the kind of nuts and bolts of this, the specifications and all the rest of it. But this was, from what I understand, built on the chassis of the S1000RR. It's got the 1000RR detuned engine from 200 brake horsepower to 163 or something along those kind of margins. So it's a super quick bike, and the kind of character that you have with the R9T is that kind of boxer engine. You've got that lump sticking out on either side, and you twist the throttle and it leans across a little bit to the right hand side, but it also you know, when you've got it idling at the light, it also geez, a lot of traffic here. You know, it also vibrates a lot, which is alright, believe it or not. You know, it's not something that you hate. It's the kind of character of the bike. You're sitting on a retro classic, modern classic kind of bike, So you know, it's nice to have that feeling and experience. But when you get on something like this, straight after that, you think, whoa, okay. It's like getting out of something, even though that was a 2019, it's like getting out of something old and onto something new. It was just an immediate experience straight away. You thought, whoa, okay. That was interesting, wasn't kind of expecting that. And when you pull away from it, you know, even though that was smooth, this is smoother, although it feels that way. It feels like it's smoother. It feels as though it's got that kind of new car feeling, new bike feeling, even though that was a new bike as well. It's really kind of bizarre and difficult to explain, but that's how it feels. The way that sounds, the way that's put together, you know, it's got that retro feeling to it. But I'm gonna go petrol actually. It's got that retro feeling to it, but it's in such a way where, you know, it's part of the experience. You know, that it feels like, what's the best way to put it? It feels like you've got Elvis between your legs with all that shake, rattle and roll. But that's not shake, rattle and roll. That's come from you know, the bike being on its last legs. That's an engineering design, I think, because it's a brand new bike. It's 2019. You know, you're kind of connected to the old school feeling on it. You know, the whole kind of, you know, that the image that comes with that bike. You know, it being a particular orientation and way. So when you get off something like that and onto something like this, which doesn't have those characteristics, it's not designed to be that way. You know, the difference becomes obvious and it becomes profound. And the question then is that, you know, if you want the image of the retro classic, which is cool, but when it comes with all that those additional characteristics, would you be able to live with that on a long road trip? So if you're stopping, if you're going through the twisties, you know, that's cool because you're constantly moving. But if you're stopping through villages and chateaus like we do, you know, would that start to grind on you after a while? All that kind of, you know, the whole shaking and the vibration and all that kind of stuff. Because there is quite a bit of vibration when you're stopping at the lights. There's a lot of vibration on the bike, and that feeds through. You know, it gives you lots of good shaking as well over the course of however long you're on there for. And I was only on there for about an hour, just over an hour. I really enjoyed it, and it completely changed my perspective, or thought I changed my perspective in terms of what I wanted for a bike. But getting on this now, the S1000R, it's like, oh, okay, well, let me think again. It's forcing me to reconsider my position, because I was thinking when I got off that, yep, that's what I want. But now that I'm coming onto this, it's like, well, hold on, I'm not entirely sure what I want, because this is really enjoyable. This is really enjoyable. Now, if I kind of sort out, got 29 miles of my range. So those are some of the differences between the S1000R and the R90. As a knee-jerk reaction, I'd say image, possibly S1000R, sorry, not the S1000R, the R90, just that kind of whole classic retro vibe. But fun factor, I'm probably beginning to lean towards this one now, because this is and I'm going to make the comparison here now with the Hayabusa. This is the kind of oh my goodness me, this is the, oh man, I enjoyed that. This is the I forgot what I was saying. You know, this is the lift it, dress up and run kind of bride, mate. This isn't going to hang around. It's not going to be that kind of pedestrian bike where, you know, you've got time to get to whatever you want to get to. This will get to wherever you want to get to super quick. And you know, that's the product of it being the kind of the descendant of the S1000RR. It is rapid, incredibly quick, and it weighs, or it feels as though it weighs like nothing. There's no weight on it, absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm standing here now at the lights, you know, and it doesn't feel like I've got 1000cc beneath me, whereas with the R90 it felt like there was a fairly substantial engine underneath you between your legs, whereas with this there just isn't that at all. It feels light and so nimble that you could have some real fun on it. Well, that's what it feels like anyway. Oh, bless them, freedom. So that's what it feels like anyway, and that kind of puts me into the territory of comparing it with now the MT10 and the S1000, no, the Super Duke. Now, the Super Duke as a bike, and I know KTM's got a kind of reputation for being a solid off-road kind of that movement, but the KTM felt a little bit mechanical. Mechanical's not the right word to use. A little bit tinny to me. It just didn't feel like it was solidly put together. It felt like you were sitting in a bloody cardboard box. And it was a 1300. It didn't feel like it was a 1300. Not in terms of speed. It was fairly quick. It pulled you back. It was decent torque on it. But it just in terms of the oh my goodness me. Just in terms of the way that it the way that it felt when you were on top of it, and how strong or sturdy or robust it felt. It just didn't inspire that confidence inside you, that you know what, this is going to be around me for a long time. It felt like there's bits that are going to fall off when I revved it or took it to the limit, and it got to its limit very quick. The rev range, you work through those rev ranges very quick, and this one doesn't or hasn't. It feels like it takes longer for it to get you to the red line. So it allows you to pick up a lot more speed in the gear that you're in, compared to, and this is my own kind of subjective feeling and experience, not based on any kind of test or empirical data or research. It just felt as though the the Super Duke got through the first and second rev range much quicker. It felt like that range was much shorter, the gearing ratio was much shorter, which of course means that you can't get as much speed as you want within that particular gear, or certainly it feels like that. Whereas this, you can kind of have that fun with it. Steady on there, chap. You can have that fun with it. Because when you're on a bigger bike, like the 1300 and the Hayabusa, the 1400, you want to be able to you're used to having a good few thousand revs to work with before changing gear. The Super Duke, it got through the rev range very quick. The Yamaha MT10 similarly got through very quick as well, and the Yamaha MT10 was a kind of an all or nothing bike. I really enjoyed it. It felt better in my opinion than the Super Duke did, but it was an all or nothing kind of job, meaning that when you're twisting the throttle, it just wants to go, and it will go all day long, but it's so torquey and so aggressive in terms of the way that it delivers its power. It almost becomes how do you say it? You don't enjoy the process. You know what I mean? You just kind of, you think to yourself, oh, I'm not sure about this now. I've had fun with it, but I don't want to constantly be I don't want to constantly be fighting with the throttle on and off. Right. So as I was saying, with the MT10, you're either always fighting with the throttle, it's on or off. And with this, it's in road mode at the moment, but it feels so much smoother that you can potter around town quite comfortably. Now this particular model has got the sports pack, but it's not a sport model, if that makes sense. Now, one of the consequences of that is the suspension doesn't automatically adjust when you switch it from rain, road to dynamic. Dynamic gives you a more aggressive, what's it called, suspension setup. It gives you more fuel at the wrist, and it just gives you kind of a quicker bike. So this gives you more fuel, but it doesn't adjust the suspension. So I'm going to put it into sport mode now, just to kind of get a feel of what it's like when it's in full-on beast mode, and then I'll be able to, suppose, compare it more accurately with the MT10 and whether or not this is as snatchy at the throttle as the MT10 is. Both the MT10 and this have lovely riding positions, so you don't have that issue with of being cramped over. This is running a cable. I'm not sure if the MT10 was running a cable or a hydraulic clutch, but with it running a cable, it's still a little bit stiff, so I can feel my wrist starting to ache a little bit. But it's not hugely heavy. Actually, what I should have done was switch it over to dynamic mode. Let's do that now. And a safe place to stop. Road dynamic. There you go. I'm in dynamic mode now. Dynamic mode is set. Beast mode is on. Let's have a look how it feels. Okay, yeah. Nippy little thing. Yep. It's still much smoother.